Hi guys, I'm finally back. Hi. So I returned mid-April. I apologize, it's been so long since I've gotten back with you guys. It's just my schedule was really hectic and I was actually ill when I got back. We'll get to that later. But here we are, and here is my synopsis. This might be a two-parter because I have a lot to say, so bear with me. Here we go. I survived West Africa. And I say that because it was hot as Hades there. Not Haiti. Hades as in hell, because it was just that hot. I didn't schedule my trip around when was the best time to go to West Africa. As I explained to you guys before, my sister is teaching there, so we scheduled it for me to come during her spring break. I went for a full 2 weeks, so that extended before and beyond her winter break. But that was fine and we worked it out. I say all this to say that during that period of time was their hot season. I don't do well in heat, so to say that it was an adjustment is an understatement. The heat, in a word, is oppressive. It was beyond any heat I've ever felt. And I know I've been explaining this to people since I've returned and they've all asked me, well, what was the temperature? I had nothing to gauge to the temperature. I didn't have international services on my phone. I wasn't like watching the news and the TV to see what, the weatherman was saying in Africa. So I don't know, but what I can tell you is it was humid. It was beyond heat, like I mentioned, that I've ever felt before in my whole entire life. And I live in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We get very humid and hot summers. So I'm used to a very hot summer. I compare going out in the summer here to walking into an oven. I would compare the heat in Benin to walking over a charcoal grill. I mean, really, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, which is also why you will not see a lot of shots of me, because I was just pouring sweat the entire time I was there. I know that, when you live in a certain area or region that your body becomes accustomed to it. I know that would never happen for me. My sister deals with it a little better than I do, and again, she's been there for over a year, but yeah, that heat, not for me. I am not about that life. So first, let me go back, the actual journey and trip. So I left the DC area at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had a 4-hour layover in Brussels, Belgium. And then I got to Benin probably around 5:36 p.m. their time. I was expecting it because I'm used to daylight savings here. I was expecting the sun to still be out when I got there, but it was dark. It was evening when I arrived. Flying into Benin, just arriving. I always sit on the window seats in planes, so I got some great shots while I was flying over past Brussels and Belgium on my way. So beautiful clouds, which I'll share with you here. And of course, some of my trip was in the evening, so I wasn't taking pictures. But these were pretty cool, and some of these clouds were just huge, and I've never seen clouds like this, so I thought I'd take a few shots to share with you guys. And when I arrived, my sister lives very close to the airport, so we took a cab, we dropped off my luggage, and then we went out to dinner. So immediately when I arrived, I stepped out of the plane, felt the heat. It was ridiculous. So when we stopped at her house, I changed my clothes because, of course, I was dressed for the air conditioning on the plane. Another thing about Benin and really third world countries in general, people don't have air conditioning like they do here. So my sister had a gorgeous home. She had air conditioning in one of the bedrooms, and that was the room that I slept in. So it was great to have the comfort of that while I was sleeping. And although it was wonderful to some extent, it didn't really help because the minute you stepped out of the bedroom, you're in this intense heat. So imagine, you know, middle of the night, you need to go to the bathroom, step out into intense heat to go to the bathroom. You know, you need to run and take your shower in the bathroom. Yeah, intense heat. Trying to apply makeup, do your hair. Really, what's the point? So for me, unfortunately, I am a person who sweats a lot, and I sweat in my face and in my hairline. So makeup application, even from the beginning, you can't really put makeup on a wet face. At least I can't. So I did not have makeup on pretty much the entire time I was there. A couple times that I did take a couple pictures like these while I was at my sister's place. This is before we left, so I was still like half in aircon, which is what they call it there, half in the aircon room and half in her yard. But my sister's house is gorgeous. Here's a little bit about it here. This is my sister's yard. And as you can see, she has a cabana. This is the front door, the screens, and the metal doors to close at night. As you can see, we have sugar cane on the ground, and the reason is because sugar cane is growing right here in her yard. And then a little further down the yard, right there, is a mango tree. Let me get closer so you can see it's just starting to bear fruit right now. Lots of mangoes. Lots of mangoes. And over her gate, you can see it's very tropical looking. We've got big fat coconuts in the trees. And you can see where it's placed based on where the gazebo is. So right over her gate. Really, really beautiful. Despite the oppressive heat. But very gorgeous. Now, because of this oppressive heat, I really don't know when these people are out here to enjoy all this gorgeousness. But yeah, I only come out right now like around dusk when there's a breeze and the sun is going down, so I can actually quasi enjoy it. This is the other side of the yard. Those buckets were from us doing laundry earlier. Side of the house. And my sister has a nice long driveway. That's her main gate. And as you can see, our laundry is hanging. I remembered to squat and not bend for doing our laundry by hand. And it was actually not so bad. But yeah, you see how pretty it is. It's really, really gorgeous. So I was in comfort. I really was. And my sister's a great host. So she made me super comfortable, and she was always checking up on me. Love you, sis. You're the best. The other person who was making sure I was okay was my sister's friend Florine, who's also Haitian American. Hey, Florine! She's an artist. She made this necklace that I'm wearing, which is gorgeous. And she protected me and helped me because of the next segue, I guess we can go into, of topics that I want to discuss. Yeah, so there were a couple things that were off-putting and that I really had to acclimate myself to. I did go to Africa knowing that there were going to be some things that I wasn't accustomed to and that I was going to be open to. That's just in general how I travel, and so I didn't have a problem with that. There were some things that really irritated my soul, so I have to address them here. So bear with me. Number one, I am not a person who likes to barter when I purchase something. I like for there to be a price tag on it, and I like to just pay the price if I think it's a fair price. Having said that, it is not that way there. And it really bothered me. And my sister was explaining to me while I was there that, the first 6 to 8 months that she was living there, she really had to kind of get control of her anger for like certain things like this. Give you an example. So most of the cabs and transportation that you'll take are not the form of a vehicle. They're little like motorbikes. So they're called Zims, or the locals call them also quequenos. So you approach one and you tell them where you're going, and here there is a set price for cabs, or at least a general idea. There, it is completely a negotiation. So you say where you're going, you can either throw out a price, they'll throw out a price, they argue with you. And what I realized was, and I get it, they realized that we were Americans and they thought that they could up the price. And so it was always this continuous negotiation with my sister getting irritated, which I totally understood. So even though she's not from the country, she's a local. She's used to what the rates should be. So they would throw a rate out to her, which was ridiculous. And she'd say, no. Like, I know how much this would cost. I'm going to give you this. So that was everything and everywhere we went. Other than like stores, like literal stores, grocery stores, they had set prices. But if you go to a market, if you go to, any cab, even the cabs that are cars, you still have to do this negotiation. And then it's a matter of, if it's a car, there's other spaces in the car. So unlike here, you get in a cab, you're in the cab, they take you where you want to go. There, they actually pack the cab up with several people to save fuel. Speaking of fuel, what they call petrol. They have proper gas stations, but the majority of the places where people actually gas up their Zims or vehicles are just little roadside vendors who have gasoline just like in these big jugs. And they literally pull out of a tube with their mouth and suck it up so it starts coming out and put it in your tank and fill you up. The other disturbing thing about that, other than the hazardous conditions, because you're next to the road and, anyone drops a match, God forbid, but a lot of the people who are actually filling up your car are children. So they're not going to school. This is third world. I understood that, but it's still jarring when you see it, Speaking of cabs, because this is the few situations that I encountered where this was my reality. The treatment of women, and I can't say in Africa because I did not go to the whole of Africa as it is a continent, but in Benin, as well as Togo, we had a couple instances with cab drivers that were super duper aggressive, literally putting hands on us. For something as simple as we wanted to get in another cab because we negotiated a price with you and then you were going to let other people get in the cab, which we did not negotiate. We paid for other seats. And so we decided we're just going to get another cab, and these cabbies put hands on us and tried to grab our bags and force us to get back in the cab. And so that, as well as other experience that I had, made me realize that, the men there, their opinion of women is less, and they diminish the women there. They really just act like you don't know what you're talking about, or that you don't have a right to have an opinion. And it works most of the time because the local women probably are accustomed to this and know how their society works, so they are intimidated by these men. We were not. And so it did not go well for those men. But that is just the reality there. So I don't know. I don't know that I was ever really expecting that. I know that this is something that's typical of third world countries and, other countries in general. Clearly we have issues here in America, but we are so far advanced in that. So I wasn't expecting to find it on the level that I encountered it, so that's why it was so jarring to me. I know that that's just not for me because I'm very independent. I'm fiercely independent, sometimes to a fault. I will admit that. So the concept of a man putting his hands on me is never something that I have ever even encountered. My father never put his hands on my mother. It's not something that I was raised around. Not that I'm unaware that it happens other places and with people, but it's not been my personal experience. So to experience it there, where I was thinking that, we would have this kind of regal presence, and we would all be treated with respect. That wasn't my experience, and I was really shocked. Yeah, and quite disappointed actually. But it is what it is. I'm very thankful to be in this country and to have the opportunity to be raised here and have the opportunity as a woman and with my career and my life to make my own choices and not have to be forced to be married, as I love being single. I just had to say that because it was really, really shocking actually. So yeah, not so great on that front. The other thing that was a little disconcerting, I know that on the islands there is the phenomenon of skin bleaching. I know that even in Haiti it's done. I know it's widespread. I really wasn't expecting it for some reason in Africa. And Benin is a large country, but it felt more like a village. So you felt more like, everyone was more connected. And to see all of these huge billboards and magazines with these advertisements for skin bleaching, I was just like, I'm in the motherland. And the place where, I just expected that there would be this level of pride in our culture and in our color and our blackness, that I didn't expect to see that on the scale that I saw it. Now, I will also say that I understand that the celebrities that the world tries to replicate from the US, because they hold the US to a higher standard, are misrepresented, right? So we know here that Photoshop is used on every, photo of every celebrity, singer, musician, sports athlete, everything, right? So even what seems like perfection to begin with by Hollywood standards or by the media standards isn't, so they modify it. So I understand, even here in this country, we have a misconception of what people look like. Having said that though, all of that's pushed out to the world. And when they're trying to replicate the Beyoncés of the world and the Rihannas and maybe Mariah Careys of the world, what they see is lightened skin. So they see a light skin version of a black woman, even lightened more by Photoshop in their photo shoots. And weave, right? So most of them aren't wearing their natural hair. So they're trying to replicate that. And I guess I see it here in America and I get it, but I didn't expect it in Africa. So to see so many black women in the motherland wearing weaves and wigs, I don't know, I just wasn't expecting it. And it also depends on just what you're used to, right? So I am from the DC area and there are a lot of natural black women, me being one of them. So I see a lot of pride in natural hair here. I know that is not true of every place in America. So me going to Africa, I just assumed I would see that on a heightened level, right? Remember that whole regal presence that I was talking about? So I figured I would see that on that level. And I can't say that I did. And coupled with the skin bleaching ads and then seeing all these people not kind of reveling in their natural beauty and their natural hair, like I was disappointed. So I kind of felt like, I've heard a lot of Africans in my lifetime from all different regions of Africa say about African Americans that, we don't know our culture and we're very lost and, we don't take pride in ourselves. And yes, that is true of some of us. But on a whole, of course we don't know our culture. Most African Americans were brought here as slaves and others are immigrants, right? So myself, though, I, come from a Haitian culture that I'm very proud of. We liberated ourselves from our enslavers And so we are a very proud people. So for me to go to Africa, and where I know that a lot of the slaves were taken, that region that were taken to Haiti, so I know this is where my ancestors are from. I expected this, I don't know, I expected them to embrace everything about their blackness. And if you are like black as tar, power to you. You know, like, you're beautiful still, like, because you're in a land of black people. So I didn't expect the skin bleaching and the fake hair that, you know, just, I don't know. So much so, let me say, that my hair was a topic of debate, because most people did not think my hair was real and that my hair could actually get this long. So again, I was hot all the time, right? So I had my hair up in a bun, like just a loose, crazy bun all the time. And I found myself taking it down a lot just to let them see, yeah, this is connected to my scalp. It is my hair. It is this long. You know, I've been growing it for so many years. And so it's possible, because it was like they didn't even think it was possible. That's disturbing. But it is what it is. I just wasn't expecting it. So it really disappointed me. And really, I don't know, I expected more on that level.